Yeah, if you're talking about Pokemon, I like Pokemon the way it is, but it's true that there may come a generation not too long from now, if not like already, that does not give a shit about games like that. You know, because Pokemon obviously has always been about, especially in like the last, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 generations of Pokemon has been focused, feels like almost solely on just getting younger kids into the pipeline of the Pokemon merchandising empire. Anyway, that's one way to look at it. And you wonder how long that can go on, because yeah, theoretically there will come a time where kids don't give a shit about games like that. Obviously, I'm like an old school Pokemon fan, so I like that. But so to me, that's not the problem. The problem is that it just looks like shit, and it's not even that the graphics are bad. I don't care if the art design was just so bad. It was so bad. When you look at this, it's very simple, but it looks good. It's beautiful. You know, just little detail, and it looks like a fucking GameCube game. It looks like a GameCube game with better textures. That's it. You know. Well, Pokemon. I mean, look, Legends Arceus was great. That was another big problem with Violet, is that they didn't commit fully to the like real time Pokemon catching mechanic. That was another thing. Just made the game. I don't know. But that was like the best thing about Legends Arceus. And Legends Arceus definitely has no staying power. I mean, it has no replayability, at least in my opinion. So that's one problem. Even though it was great on the first playthrough, but mostly for a Pokemon fan. But at the same time, I mean, I think Pokemon in general is kind of like that, where, you play it if you're a Pokemon fan. I mean, if you're not a Pokemon fan, not likely that you're gonna. What? Camera turned me around. Shit. No, it totally does. But I guess, I mean, people can have different opinions about that. What I'm saying is that it's perfect for me. The way this game looks is perfectly enough for me. The gameplay got, what the fuck, dude? The gameplay got a big update. Just you know, just tiny flaws that the original had. They intentionally addressed those. I don't remember. Did he take an egg here? I probably should have checked this one. Obviously, he's not gonna have an egg. I don't know what the fuck I'm thinking. Yeah, you want to do? Yeah, fuck you. You want to do that on? Well, Rip Run. You want to do that on Summer 1. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying. But yeah, I thought the art style and Scarlet Violet looked just atrocious. Oh God, so atrocious. Now I'm not a huge fan of. Well, I mean, I have already complained about this enough, but I'm not a huge fan of Olive Town and its graphics. I mean, not a huge fan of Olive Town in general, but the graphics are another thing that I could take it or leave it. It doesn't look bad, but I could take it or leave it. It's funny that you mentioned mobile game earlier, Nico, because I kind of felt like Olive Town kind of looks like a mobile game. Not exactly, but really. Oh wait, I didn't want to do that. Actually, maybe I did. Kind of forgetting. Alright, so that's number 2. Yeah, I should not have done that, I guess. My damn chicken, dude. No, I tried. Dude, fuck. Dude, bruh. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh, graphics, yeah. Yeah, the art, it was just the art style. I mean, it got kind of trashed anyway, but I feel like people really, I don't know, really almost discount how bad the general art style of Violet was. It just looked terrible. I mean, most of the trainers looked terrible. I don't care if the gym leaders look cool. I mean, some of them look okay. I'm not like, I didn't hate them, but although a couple of them were like, I don't know. I said this to my friends, but a couple of my high school buddies when we were talking about it, because I showed them the game, and one of my friends was like thinking about getting it, and I felt bad because I'm like, man, I don't think I can really recommend the game to you. I mean, you know, especially when like the market is so saturated. You have Steam Deck. I mean, you have all the games on Steam. You know, he just got a Steam Deck as well recently. You know, you have fucking, you know, PS5, three, you know, Xbox, whatever that is now, Xbox One, blah blah blah. I don't fucking know. You know, it's like, how do you justify to someone? How do you recommend a game like Scarlet or Violet to someone who's just kind of like a cat, like you're everyday Pokemon fan, somebody who likes video games. They played a fair amount of Pokemon growing up. You know, maybe they haven't played Pokemon in a couple generations. There's a lot of people like that. There's honestly a lot of people like that who, you know, who aren't like me. I fucking love I always loved Pokemon. I don't know why. I never bought a ton of like shirts and shit. I didn't like wear it on my sleeve, but I liked Pokemon. I always liked Pokemon. Played every fucking Pokemon game that came out. And you know, anyway, so it's just like, can I make it? Yeah, I'll make it back. So it's just like, how do you recommend to someone like that, who's more casual, you know, maybe hasn't played in a little while? How do you recommend a game like Scarlet and Violet to someone like that? You just can't. And a big part of it for me was just how ugly it looked. It was just ugly. Mostly the protagonist. I mean, mostly the main characters looked ugly. They looked like little plastic toys. I mean, and a lot of games have kind of taken that. Maybe it's a Nintendo thing. I feel like a lot of Nintendo games have kind of taken on that because other game companies, Microsoft and Sony, they kind of went the route of photorealism. As graphics get better and better, if you are not going the photorealistic route, then you kind of, it seems like you just kind of tend towards this, like I say, sort of almost plastic looking, toy looking, style. You can look at other games similar, like Luigi's Mansion 3. Luigi's Mansion 3 looks good, and I enjoyed it sort of. I borrowed my brother's copy, but you know, but Scarlet and Violet it just looks atrocious, dude. The characters look like it's like Uncanny Valley territory, if you know what I mean. Like where the characters just look like mannequins that are like kind of human, but like they're like too human, but not human enough. To where it's like, man, just like go for something a little bit more stylized that looks like this. I mean, we get it. He's not a real human. He looks like an anime dude, right? Whatever. I mean, Mark is an anime dude who farms and fucking, you know, raises chickens and never has to pick up any of their shit because they're video game chickens. They don't shit, you know. It's like, we get it's a video game, so just come up with a stylized art style. And they did that until at least even up until Generation 8, to be honest. You know, like Sword and Shield actually are so much better now that Scarlet and Violet came out. So much fucking better. It's laughable how much better in comparison, in retrospect. Shit, come on. Also, oh no, sorry. What I was originally going to say is, actually, I don't even need that. What I was originally, oh wait, no. Did I get the blue feather? I can't remember if I grabbed blue feather. I did. Okay, fuck. Was that what I was really going to say was that when I was talking to my friends about it, you know, I specifically described it like this. You know, there was no point in the game. Usually, even like Gen 7 and Gen 8, which I really did not like. I mean, Sun and Moon were the ones where I first was like, okay, you guys put like a fucking 30-minute cut. I mean, like at least a 20 to 25-minute cutscene at the beginning of the game before I could even do shit and just play my fucking Pokemon game. I mean, that was uncalled for. And I was like, okay, what's going on here, right? And I knew other games were starting to do that more. You go, okay, what the fuck? But at least in Sun and Moon and in Sword, which I actually borrowed from my brother as well and just played through, did one playthrough. You know, in those games, there was still a point in the game that I would describe as, at least a few parts in the game too, the part where shit starts slapping. And you're like, you know, whether it's like, you know, you're going into fucking evil team's base, or you're like, you know, fucking up against like a tough gym leader who looks really cool and they've got cool Pokemon, whatever. You know, there's a part where, you know, or like the rival character like Gladion, you know, Gladion in Sun and Moon, right? He's dope. You know, Marnie in fucking fucking Sword, right? Where like, you know, the beat drops and like you got your best dudes, you got your starter Pokemon, you got a couple other cool dudes there to back you up, and you're going in and shit's slapping, you know. There is no part of Scarlet or Violet that even approaches that. Not once. You know, the closest I could argue is like the gym leader battles, where like the music is pretty good, and there's a couple cool gym leader designs in my opinion. You know, I try to be fair. You know, there are definitely a couple, in my opinion, cool gym leader designs. I like the grass guy. I like the, I don't know. The grass guy, I mean, the electric girl, streamer girl is funny, I guess. Got to be plenty of Rule 34 of her, I gotta believe. But let's be real, there's plenty of Rule 34 Flannery, you know, and she's the OG, like, you know, hot gym leader, whatever. What was I fucking saying? Anyway, you know, that's like the closest that it gets to like slapping, and you know, and that's the real thing about Pokemon is you've got to have like cool pokes in the game that the players really identify with, and they're like, oh, this is my fucking Pokemon. He's backing me up. And that was actually another weird element to Violet that I kind of noticed like late in the game when I realized like actually the way the catching system works and just the way kind of the general like open world system kind of works, it kind of incentivizes you to catch new Pokemon all the time. Like instead of training up your guys and like making a team early on, you know, of 6 guys, and okay, you might like run one for a while and drop him and whatever, and that's common in Pokemon games anyway. But like it kind of, there were a few points where like I felt like the game wanted me to just catch a higher level Pokemon because it was nearby, and I could just do that instead of like coming up because all like the pacing is fucked because there's no actual like intended route. I mean, there is supposedly an intended route through the you know, there's a loosely intended route maybe through the gyms and the secret bases and like whatever, but it's loose. So you inevitably will reach a point where you are like either under leveled, well, in this case under leveled, and you gotta just fucking like, I don't know, figure something out. And a lot of times it feels like you're just supposed to catch whatever high level shit, like go to some other area and go, okay, here's some dudes that are the same level as the thing I need to kill. Okay, and then you just catch that, but you don't give a shit about that Pokemon because you just caught it just to beat this stupid gym leader or whatever that you couldn't beat. So you end up with a team of pokes at the end of the game that you don't really care about because you didn't really go through anything legit. I know it sounds dumb, like, okay, we get it, they're just pixels or whatever, but it's still, even as an adult, knowing that they're just pixels, there's still a dynamic to a good Pokemon game that was totally lost on Violet. Totally fucking lost. Yeah, and a lot of people feel like that, depending on how old you were, depending on how old you are, depending on how, you know, what Pokemon meant to you when you were younger, you know, when you played it when you were younger. I was always a big Poke guy. That was just kind of that was one series that I always played a lot of, and then I speedran it, obviously, and that was, you know, it was a game that I don't know why I got into. I never really got that into competitive Pokemon, although I did. But I was never like a super big competitive battler. But through competitive battling, I learned about the mechanics of Pokemon, obviously like the type system and stuff like that. So I liked it as kind of a system, and you know, because there's depth to the battling and stuff like that. And that's another reason why also that they're kind of in a tough spot where like gameplay wise, the turn-based formula might be kind of dying for people, like, you know, in terms of like who will play the game. But mechanically, there are a lot of old school Pokemon fans, and especially the competitive players, and you cannot discount the fact that the competitive scene, like the VGC scene, is a big part of Pokemon's branding. They run these big tournaments, whatever. So like the turn-based system with its depth of mechanics, that is a big part of Pokemon still, even if the average like casual fan. So Pokemon, I think that Legends Arceus was kind of an attempt, kind of an early experiment at this. Pokemon will split into a series of spin-offs. Yeah, they should have killed Ash in like Gen 3. Ash never should have been the protagonist in Gen 3. Never. I mean, Master Quest is cool. I mean, because everyone knows like Gen 1 and Gen 2 kind of go hand in hand. They're kind of the same animal. But like Ash never should have been the protagonist. I think it's so funny that, oh, we're finally getting rid of Ash, and everyone's like, what the fuck? I mean, everyone who hasn't watched Pokemon or known about Pokemon in like 15 years, they're like, whoa, what the fuck? Ash was still the protagonist of Pokemon? What the hell? You know, it's kind of a meme, but I mean, the Pokemon anime sucks, but whatever. Yeah, it is cool that they are, but anyway, so yeah, I don't remember what I was originally talking about, but yeah, so there was no like, there was no point in Violet where I felt cool, where I was like, oh dude, you know, shit's going down, you know. And I get it, obviously the plot is always like, oh, the evil team, they want to take over the world, can you believe it? You know, we all know it's stupid, but there's still an element. And even Marnie, even like the Team Yell shit in like Sword, which was totally dumb, like really pretty stupid. But it was stupid, but Marnie was dope, and her music was dope. That was the whole thing, like her whole, you know, I'm not like weaving out over, you know, Marnie as a waifu. I'm just saying like her, yeah, there's a style, yeah, the stylized art style, like the way the characters are drawn in a coherent way, was good. And then you go to Violet, and some of the trainer classes are just disgusting. They're just literally like fat. I mean, I don't want to get too controversial, but they're just like fat, ugly sacks of shit. Like not even close to photorealistic. And so I mean, obviously photorealism isn't the goal anyway. So they just look like ugly cartoon characters, and you're just like, what were you thinking, dude? Like, it looks so bad. It just looks so bad. And not all of them. There are a couple trainer classes that look pretty good. And like I said, the gym leaders are. Oh, thank you, demo. Yeah, you probably only did like one run already, but we'll try and get one more good run here. I saw the description in your YouTube video. You were saying that maybe you could route in a crop that she likes. It'd be interesting if there was an alternate route, because obviously like this route is pretty much the same as Cecilia, except Cecilia just only takes one flower, I think, right? So I'm pretty sure it's flower egg for Cecilia as well. Oh, did you route it? Is it just slower or what? Oh, come on, you fucker. Yeah, May and Dawn, you know, like the actual like game characters would have made better protagonists. Instead, they were just kind of like side protagonists because everyone thought, I don't know what they were thinking. They thought, oh, everyone just loves Ash so much. They want to see him and Pikachu like still continue their journey. Like, dude, it's just a branding thing. So stupid. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you did it. Yeah, I thought you only did one run. Yeah. Okay, this is the 8th, so I think she's. I can't go into the. So she lose a little bit of time on the 8th, compared to the. Compared to the other days, because you have to wait outside until 7, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because Romana and Sebastian are out. Yeah, I will be interested though. I was saying earlier, one thing that I really like about another thing I really like about the remake, from a speedrunning perspective, is that the original. One thing that always made me sort of disappointed about the original is that it really was not well suited to full game runs. You know, just by its very nature. And this one actually is a little bit better suited to full game runs, even though they still would be long, because you only have to sleep once per day, and because the chapters are 1 year, which frankly is just better. I mean, yeah. So I'll be interested if Desert comes up with anything. I'm not sure. I mean, you could do a lot of things. You could do all hybrids. You could do. I was thinking. I always wanted to do all hybrids in the original. I never actually routed it, but I remember I was like thinking about it a long time ago. I had like, you know, barely started notes like somewhere on one of my hard drives or something. But like all hybrids, you could do a lot of shit. You could do. But yeah, just they really sort of just polished it a little bit more than it was, and it makes all the difference. And now it's like right up there with some of the best Harvest Moon games. A glorified demo? Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I like to think that. I feel like you see this with a lot of games where like around that period of time, there were some kind of obvious mistakes or flaws to the games that would be obvious to us now from like a perspective of someone of a population that's played a lot of video games and kind of realized what works and what doesn't. So like maybe some of the mistakes seem obvious now in the original, but I think they were still experimenting, and it was along with Save the Homeland. It was kind of one of the first sort of experimental Harvest Moon games, I feel like, where they broke away from the SNES model, kind of. Save the Homeland is similar, but in the way that it tries to sort of modify the formula. Although I think this one is pretty clearly better. I mean, especially this version, very clearly better than Save the Homeland. I mean, that's for fucking sure. Shit. But it sets a good precedent. Sam was in here earlier saying, you know, talking about Flower Bud remake, you know, Flower Bud Village remake win, and I was saying that I think this game sets a very good precedent for future remakes, because, you know, we had the FOMT remake, and you know, that could have been just a one-off thing, obviously, because FOMT is pretty dated. It's a handheld game, so whatever. So okay, they'll remake it, cool, you know. But like, this is kind of just out of the blue, a really good, like, awesome idea for a remake, and boom, like, here you go. and it sets a pretty good precedent for the potential for future remakes. So. I meant it though, seriously, in the Discord saying about Olive Town. I reached a point like not too far in the game, like once I really started like kind of expanding the farm, where I'm like, dude, I'm not even farming. I feel like I'm not even farming. I mean, I just set up all my sprinklers. I just like spam A on my cows every day and my makers and reload my makers, and then I just hit the mine. Okay, just gotta go to the mine. Gotta fucking chop wood, hit rocks, and scoop puddles. I mean, that's the whole. I felt like that was the whole game. Also, you could really tell from the way the map was designed that they intentionally took this very sort of utilitarian approach to the layout, where they're like, okay, we're just gonna have the player's farm, and then just plop a town directly adjacent where everything is just in a row. All the shops are just in a row. Boom, 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 boom. Which I get it. There's a convenience to it. The loading times were not terrible, but I heard they were worse when the game came out. But I read a lot of fucked up things about the game. Like you could only have a maker make one of something when it first came out. I was like, what? Dude, I already feel like I'm babysitting my makers constantly. You have a shit ton of them all over your farm. And then you could only be making one thing at a time. Holy crap, dude. So they upped that to 10 by the time I played it, which was obviously way better. My mind was blown when Retro told me that HMDS used the same map. Well, yeah, it uses the same map, yeah. You mean, well, I mean, it's still in Forgive Me Not Valley, I mean. Right. It's kind of cool to see it, like, in 2D, like, FOMT style. Oh, yeah, it's literally, yeah. That was like where I kind of fell off buying new Harvest Moon games. I remember getting really hyped for DS to come out, and for some reason I never got it. And I don't know why, because I really should, because I was like still playing a lot of games at that time, but for some reason I just never got it. And I have a copy now, but obviously I don't really play it because, I don't have time, a lot of other games, whatever, speedrunning and shit. But like I really would have loved to play that shit in 2006 because it was kind of right up my alley. I love Friends of Mineral Town. I love it. It's literally like Friends of Mineral Town meets A Wonderful Life. It's like a marriage made in heaven, dude. Like perfect. I guess I technically don't have to. Anyway, or Max is a match made in heaven, they say. They're saying, oh yeah, poop, yeah. So it's just very, you can tell it's like, okay. Whereas like you play this game and the layout of everything is very organic. I mean, poop doesn't feel lived in. And I get that it's a video game, and I get that that's kind of a, the philosophy. Also, I will say the philosophy that I take is I don't mind that Olive Town exists because there are so many good Harvest Moon games that exist that if you don't want to play Olive Town, you just play a different one. But I'm just, only reason why I'm saying these things is just to say why I like this game and other games, other Harvest Moon games, and where I feel Olive Town kind of falls short for me. I'm very glad I bought it on sale because I don't know when I'll play it again, but yeah, a lot of DS games. I was just watching a video about this recently too, like the volume of games that are going to become unplayable pretty much because they're tied to hardware that has just kind of died. I mean, like, who's gonna play on a DS and fucking... Really? I know. It's funny because you warned me, and I kind of knew because I sort of already knew a little bit what it was about, and I'm not opposed to crafting by any stretch of the imagination, but so what do you like about it so much? Like, is it the gameplay? Is it the characters or what? Because I don't think it's bad. I like Lynn. I like some of the characters. I think the characters are pretty good. They've got some nice cutscenes. You know, it's not bad. You know, it looks pretty good. I think I said this already in the Discord. I think the protagonist looks bad, but you said that you could like customize him later with a costume, and it's just too generic. One thing I don't like in general about like where games have gone, and I don't get it, is like these games you used to call them RPGs, which means you're role playing. So like whereas people now they're obsessed with this idea of customization so they can make the character look like them, which to me makes no sense. The point is you're taking on the role of a fictional character. You don't want the character to like look like you. So because of that and the customization, it's like, okay, the character just looks like kind of a blank slate, so that you can change his hairstyle and his hair color, you know. And it's like, okay, I you know, that's where I kind of fall off. I'm like, romance marriage. It was very reminiscent of 64 to me. Simple affection, house upgrade. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I can dig that. I can dig that. I mean, it is really easy to it is really easy to get married in the game, which I do like. I do like that. I do like. It's also very easy to trigger the cutscenes. You literally can trigger all 9 of them on the same fucking day if you want. At least for Lynn. Woo! Sub 37. It can be bad. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I didn't think it was. Yeah, I don't hate that they made it that simple. I think it was handled pretty well. Yeah.